All right, let's jump into another deep dive today.
Sounds good.
We're going to be looking at an episode of Janshi,
Okay.
Grilled Mackerel Radio, the Japanese podcast.
I do.
Now, before you think we've totally gone off topic,
Right.
trust me, this episode has some really interesting insights about content strategy,
Yeah,
whether you are a seasoned creator or just starting out.
it really does.
It's fascinating because the hosts, Hideki and Mayumi,
Yeah.
they're dealing with this problem we all face.
Mm-hmm.
How to get people to engage with the stuff we make.
Absolutely.
It's January 19th, 2025 in the episode.
Okay.
And they're sort of reflecting on their New Year's resolutions.
Right.
Specifically, how to make their content more impactful.
Mm-hmm.
And they keep coming back to this idea of traffic flow.
Traffic flow.
But not like website clicks. They're
Right.
talking about creating a flow within their content.
Oh, within their content.
So people naturally discover all the cool things they offer.
So it's almost like realizing that just creating good content isn't enough.
Right.
You have to become the architect of your own content experience.
Yeah.
And think about how people move through your work.
Yeah.
And what you want them to take away from it.
Exactly. And so let's unpack this traffic flow idea a little bit.
Okay.
Miyumi had an aha moment during a business counseling session.
Oh, wow.
The consultant was pushing her on this.
Yeah.
And it just clicked for her.
Yeah.
She realized their content is like a physical storefront.
I love that analogy.
No,
Yeah, think about it.
Someone might wander in through one door.
Uh-huh.
Maybe they find your YouTube channel.
Right.
But are there pathways to discover your podcast or your blog or anything else you've got going on?
Absolutely. And that's where it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
Because Hideki has what you might call a diverse content empire,
He does.
right? He's got YouTube live streams and Instagram. This podcast even composes music.
I know, it's amazing.
Amazing. But it also creates a discoverability problem. It's a classic case of a creator being multi-passionate, excited to share all these different aspects of themselves.
Right.
But without clear signposting,
Right.
it can be overwhelming for the audience.
Totally.
It's like walking into a store with no aisles,
Oh, yeah.
no signage, just a jumble of amazing products.
Yeah.
How do you even know where to start?
That lack of organization can really work against you.
It can.
Even if the content itself is amazing,
Mm-hmm.
people might just bounce off because it feels chaotic.
Right.
They just can't find what they're looking for.
Yeah, and Mayumi's starting to see this in her own work.
Okay.
She's realizing she needs to categorize her content better
Okay.
and use titles that clearly signal what each piece is about.
Uh-huh.
For example, on the podcast, just adding a short description to the episode titles would make a huge difference.
Think of it like using good keywords for SEO,
Right.
but applied to all your creative output.
Exactly.
You want to use language that helps people understand what they're clicking on.
And here's where we get into the technical side of things.
Okay.
Imagine if Mayumi and Hideki took a deep dive into keyword research.
Yeah.
Like, what terms is their ideal audience actually searching for?
Right.
Then they could sprinkle those keywords naturally throughout their titles, descriptions, even social media posts.
It's like building those pathways.
Exactly.
We were talking about using the language of the internet to guide people.
Yeah,
I'm already seeing how this applies to so much more than podcasts.
absolutely.
Right.
This traffic flow concept can be applied to a website, a portfolio, even how you organize a presentation.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I like it.
Mm-hmm. You know, it's interesting. Mayumi brings up her move to Yamanashi in this episode.
Oh, yeah.
It kind of highlights how this traffic flow thing
Yeah.
isn't just about content. It's
That's
about
how-
life choices, too.
I like that. Remember, she was a successful food stylist in Tokyo
Right.
before making the move.
Yeah.
She had this whole established career,
Mm-hmm.
then decided to completely shift gears.
And what's fascinating is she admits she approached the move with a maintenance mindset.
It's that.
She thought she could just relocate and keep doing the same work.
Oh.
But the reality was much different.
So it's like she rearranged the furniture in her life, but didn't change the layout of the room.
Yeah, exactly.
Does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense. She was physically in a new location, but mentally she was still stuck in those old patterns of her Tokyo life.
Oh.
And as a result, her work started to decline.
Oh, wow.
She wasn't fully embracing the change,
Yeah.
so she wasn't attracting the right opportunities.
It's like she was trying to direct traffic using an outdated map.
Exactly. And it's something we all do, right?
Yeah.
We make these surface level changes without addressing the underlying mindset
Totally.
or approach.
It's like changing your website's font, but not improving the content.
Exactly. It might look different,
Right.
but it doesn't fundamentally change the user experience.
Okay, so let's dig into the content itself a bit. What was it about food styling that led to Mayumi's burnout?
Well, it sounds like she just got disillusioned
Okay.
with constantly catering to the demands of clients.
Mm-hmm.
She was creating beautiful work,
Yeah.
but she was losing her own voice in the process.
She actually says in the episode, I got tired of listening to what other people wanted and doing things their way.
Wow.
It's like she reached a point where she realized she was directing all her creative energy according to someone else's map.
According to someone else's map, that's a great way to put it.
And that could be so draining.
It can be no matter what field you're in.
Absolutely.
I
And
agree.
it takes a lot of self-awareness to recognize when you've veered off course.
Absolutely.
Even more courage to actually change direction.
That's so true, because if you think about it,
Yeah.
if you're constantly creating content that you think other people will like,
Mm-hmm.
but it doesn't light you up,
Right.
you know your audience will feel that disconnect.
Oh, totally.
It's like trying to force traffic down a road that's closed.
Yeah. So where does Hideki fit into all of this?
Yeah.
I mean, it's his podcast, too.
Right.
And he seems super supportive of Mayumi's journey.
He does. He really does.
Yeah.
Hideki strikes me as like the strategist in their partnership.
Interesting.
You know, he's got this diverse creative output,
He does.
but he's also very focused on helping Mayumi find her own creative flow.
Okay.
You can kind of hear him gently guiding her,
Yeah.
asking questions to help her clarify her vision and goals.
Yeah. And there's this really beautiful moment
Yeah.
where Mayumi admits to feeling lost and unsure of herself. And Hideki just immediately jumps in and reassures her,
Yeah.
reminding her of all the amazing things she's accomplished.
Right, like he's helping her see the map more clearly.
Yeah.
Highlighting those paths she might not even realize are open to her.
I love that. And that encouragement can be so valuable,
It can.
especially when you're trying to break free
Right.
from old patterns and forge a new path.
We all need those people in our lives,
Yeah.
you know,
We do.
who remind us of our strengths and encourage us to keep experimenting.
Speaking of experimenting, let's talk about some specific tactics.
Sure.
Mayumi and Hideki are considering to improve their traffic flow.
So one thing Mayumi's focusing on is making her content more accessible to newcomers.
Okay.
She's realizing that she's been using a lot of insider language and references that might not make sense to someone who's just discovering her work.
It's like she's finally realizing she needs to create a better welcome mat for her content storefront.
Exactly. She wants to make sure that even if someone just stumbles upon her podcast
Right.
or her YouTube channel for the first time,
Mm-hmm.
they feel welcomed and intrigued, not confused or overwhelmed.
So how does she plan to actually do that?
Well, she's talking about creating more introductory content,
Right.
like a Start Here page on her website,
Yeah.
or a short video explaining her background and what she's all about.
It's like she's creating those "you are here" markers on a map,
Exactly.
so people can orient themselves and start exploring.
I love that. And she's also thinking about how to better connect all of her different platforms.
I'm okay.
For example, she could start including calls to action at the end of her podcast episodes,
Right.
encouraging listeners to check out her YouTube channel or her Instagram,
Uh-huh.
or she could create a regular newsletter
Okay.
that highlights all her latest content across different platforms.
That's a smart strategy because it's one thing to get someone's attention.
Right.
It's another thing entirely to keep them engaged and coming back for more.
Exactly. And this is where Hideki's expertise with digital marketing comes in handy.
Okay.
He's talking about the importance of consistency, not just in terms of posting schedule,
Right.
but also in terms of branding and messaging.
Okay.
He wants to make sure that all their content, no matter where it lives,
Yeah.
feels cohesive and recognizable.
So it's like creating a visual and tonal traffic flow as well.
Precisely. Think about it.
Mhm.
When you walk into your favorite store, you immediately recognize the logo, the colors, the overall vibe.
Right.
That consistency creates a sense of familiarity and trust.
Totally.
It's the same with online content.
Right.
When your branding is consistent, it helps people understand who you are and what you're all about.
And that makes them much more likely to stick around and explore all the stuff you have to offer.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've talked about the why of content traffic flow, why it's so important, and what Mayumi and Hideki are doing to improve theirs.
Yeah.
But how can our listener apply these concepts to their own work?
Well, here's the thing.
Yeah.
You don't need a huge content empire to benefit from these principles.
Okay.
Whether you're a blogger, a musician, an artist, or just someone who loves sharing their thoughts online.
Yeah.
Thinking about traffic flow can make a huge difference.
So where should someone start?
I'd say the first step is to just take stock of your existing content.
Okay.
Where does it live? What platforms are you using? Then put yourself in your audience's shoes. If someone were discovering your work for the first time, would they understand what you're all about?
Right.
Would they be able to easily navigate between your different platforms?
It's like doing a traffic flow audit
Exactly.
of your own creative ecosystem.
Once you have a clear picture of your current situation,
Yeah.
you can start thinking about how to make it better.
Okay.
Maybe it's as simple as updating your website navigation or creating a link in bio page on Instagram that directs people to your other content.
Right.
Maybe it's adding clearer calls to action to your videos or blog posts.
Or maybe it's realizing that you need to create some introductory content
Yeah.
that helps people get to know you and your work better.
And remember, it's not about doing everything perfectly right away.
Right.
It's about starting somewhere, experimenting, and seeing what works.
Yeah.
Mayumi and Hideki are still figuring things out themselves. They're
Yeah.
constantly tweaking and refining their approach as they learn more
Makes sense.
about their audience and what resonates.
That's a great point. Content strategy isn't a one-time thing.
No,
It's an ongoing process.
absolutely.
It's about being mindful, intentional, and constantly iterating.
I think the most important takeaway from this whole episode is that you have the power to shape your own traffic flow,
I like that.
both in terms of your content and in terms of your life. By thinking about where you want to go and how you want to guide people through your work,
Right?
you can create an experience that's both enjoyable and meaningful for everyone involved.
This has been such a fascinating deep dive.
It has.
We've explored the power of analogy, the importance of self-awareness, and the practical steps you can take to improve your traffic flow.
It all comes down to strategy.
We hope you found it valuable, and we encourage you to keep exploring these ideas
Yes.
in your own life. And if you have any traffic flow tips or tricks,
Yeah,
we'd love to hear from you. Hit us up on social media.
absolutely.
We're always looking for new insights and inspiration. Until next time, keep those creative juices flowing.